Hello, everybody, and welcome to Geopolitical Trends, where truth matters. Excited to be with you. Again, interesting topic. This is about an update regarding the, I don't know what to call it, guys. Is it a fait accompli as far as a ceasefire agreement? Is it something that just holding by thread? I don't know. So anyway, this is what I'm going to be talking to you today about, to give you an update about what's going on, what's involved in that agreement. But I'm not going to focus on, how many were released and so forth. We're going to be talking about the big picture as to what lies ahead, what's coming. And there is something coming regarding the Gaza war. So don't assume just an agreement that's been announced that's going to be honored. This is the key. So, but before I'll do this, let me first say hi to our wonderful community. Ramzi Abdurrahman, good to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. I know you're busy, but so good to see you as always. You too, Z Super. Same for you, man. Haven't seen you. Elas Lewis, hello to you as well. Brianna Olivia, good to see you. Alexis Rose, Willie Holman, Muslim Rex, good to see you. And indeed, TikTok is back. So Maria, Anna, good to see you. Timeline Dunkley, Abdul Fal, Phil, as always. Seaborg Ninja, good to see you. Hanging G, we missed you yesterday, by the way. So good to see you, and thank you for your comments that you sent, and I read all your stuff. Thunderbolt, Athene Wu, Taiwan Still, as always. Alice Talokin, good to see you guys. So before I'll delve deeper into this, I have some housekeeping stuff. Be on the lookout for my upcoming interview. I haven't set it up yet, but I've been communicating with the Professor Anna Malindog. So she said whenever. So I'm waiting for one final confirmation. Then I'll set it up. But it's gonna be within the next 48 hours or so. So it's gonna be very, very soon. There's a major developments going on in the Philippines. This one has to do with the budget that just came out. And it's very, very interesting that I need you to know, especially for my Filipino viewers. And believe it or not, guys, there are a lot of people in this community watching from the Philippines and supporting this channel. So it is fair due. So I would like to even extend an invitation to the former president, Duterte, if he's willing to come on the channel. I'll talk with him. Why not? So be on the lookout for that. Second thing I need you to be aware of, that I made decision officially now, that I will be going to Asia, and I decided to reactivate the account. I cleared everything, so I start from scratch. This way it will be transparency. This is the link. Should you decide to support the trip, that's where the funding is going to go to. So it's active from my previous one, but I cleared everything. So it was, believe it or not, it was about some $38 left from the previous one. So I cleared that. So starting from zero, and I will be updating you regularly. So now I am going to set up the numbers and all that once I do my own details, and I will keep you posted. There is a possibility of a visit of a third country. I have not decided yet. And usually, you know how it is. I'm not going to be detailing every step. You know where I'm going to be once I get there, and we'll just go from there. But in any event, here is the link should you decide to support or that particular trip. So, and thank you in advance, because without you guys, I won't make it. I'll be honest, straightforward about it. Without the community, I won't be able to make it anyway. That's how it happened last time. So, and I'm very, very grateful to all of you. All right, let's talk about our key topic here, ceasefire deal that so far is holding, but is holding very fragile. Because why I say the term fragile? Because Israel went ahead and killed somebody in Jenin. So you kind of like, when you go into a ceasefire, you at least have to observe or honor some of that. So, and we're not jumping into the guns here as far as pointing fingers, whatever. I'm going to be providing you my own analysis. You reach your own conclusion, as always. So the ceasefire deal between Hamas and Israel regarding Gaza has entered into effect, as a matter of fact. So, and this is where in Gaza. That means allowing now more than 2 million Palestinians in Gaza some sort of a sigh of relief after 15 months of devastating war. So what you're starting to see now, some trucks, convoy of truck for necessities and aid products coming into all this. And this is what I'm going to get into. Now, there is only one question, and one question that matters into all this. And you guys can answer, please, yes or no. Will ceasefire hold, in your opinion? Yes or no? Simple, because that's the one that matters. So I'm going to check if you will be kind and just answer in the chat box, please, whether, in your opinion, the ceasefire will hold. So let me just see. Army with Harmony, no. Taiwan still, no. Hanging G, no. Gorborg Ninja, you say yes. Okay. Truth Seeker, no. Ramples 01, no. Al Stalukin, no. Pamado, no. Peace Lover, yes. Seymour Pereira, no. Nozrat Anver, you say no, not long, which is a key. Yeah, so apparently it's clear, guys. Majority of you saying no. Well, Athenwu, you're saying no, but I hope the answer is yes. I see what you mean. Yeah. It's hard to tell at this point. I am not. This is my opinion. I am not 100% that this ceasefire is going to hold. And the reason I'm reaching this conclusion, which I will share with you, it's because it's been sort of negotiated on 3 phases. This is where the danger is. So, and we're going to get into the details of it. So, well, of course, as you know, Israelis have released about 90 Palestinian prisoners and detainees so far. So the release came very early yesterday. So, and it's about more than, based on what I read, about 5 to 7 hours after Hamas released 3 female hostages from captivity and returned them to Israel. Of course, they didn't do it directly; they do it through the Red Cross. Just to let you know. So for the Palestinian prisoners, it was a large bus, by the way, that carried dozens of those Palestinian detainees, which came out of the Ofer prison, which is known is outside the West Bank city of Ramallah. Now, here is the key. Why now all of a sudden all the eyes are on West Bank? So I just need you to pay close attention to what I'm going to be sharing with you. Well, as I mentioned, the Hamas has handed the 3 Israeli captives, females, to the Red Cross, which was transferred to the Israeli custody forces, that is, who took them out of Gaza. So, and this is where what's his name, the spokesperson for Hamas, Abu Ubaidah. This guy, he's the spokesperson for Hamas, military one spokesperson. So has given a speech by way saying that Hamas is committed to a ceasefire, which he said, according to his statement, and this is a quote, guy, could have been reached more than a year ago if it had not been for Netanyahu's malicious ambitions, end of quote. Now, as one who've been reading what's going on, I can see the logic into the argument, and there is a reason for that. And that reason is, it's because for Netanyahu, it's a survival that the conflict persists. This is not about just political career. It is about preventing from going to jail for corruption. But as long as he is a prime minister, he's not going to go to jail. So it makes perfect sense that if the conflict drags on, he is fine. For how long? I don't know. Because now you might end up seeing the collapse of the government, but not too, the Israeli government, but not too fast. Because Trump just did, President Trump now officially, he just did something that nobody expected, lifting the sanctions on the settlers, which means what? Basically, giving green light, do whatever. So this is why I'll say you can't trust the Americans, government that is. I'm saying this, let alone today was the swearing of the new Secretary of State, who is an avid supporter of the AIPAC, because Marco Rubio gets his funding from the Jewish lobby. It's not a secret. It's straightforward. So let's just be honest about it, because this is what this channel is all about. Truth, because truth matters. And that's also why I am planning on heading out to Asia for second time, to other locations, to report the truth. Straightforward. So the first aid trucks have already entered Gaza. So because that was part of the deal. So you're looking at a major, actually, I read some statements there about over 300 trucks. That's what I read. 300 trucks still outside Gaza, didn't have access yet. So, and all this part of the aid that was part of that deal for the ceasefire deal. So, I'm sorry, 600 trucks. Yeah, 600 trucks carrying humanitarian aid are set to arrive each day. We don't know if this is going to happen. So now half of the trucks are heading north of the Gaza Strip. So it will be very interesting to see how this is going to move on. But before I'll move on into this, you need to understand a little bit of geography and a little bit of history to put things in perspective for you. Now, here is a map here, and I give credit to World Atlas for this. Now the state of Palestine. Now, some of you might say, no, you don't use the term state. Others say, yes, you can. So officially, so far, you can use the state of the term according to what has been agreed on in the UN, except that because the speaker of the PLO does give a speech at the UN, so which means you are allowed to call it state. So the state of Palestine is a sovereign state, according to the record as it is stated, located in Western Asia. So funny. On this one, they didn't say Middle East. They refer to it as West Asia. In West Asia, that is, and comprising of the territories of the West Bank and Gaza Strip. Once again, pay close attention, guys. West Bank, this is what it is. Where is Gaza? You see it right here. Now, Israeli sites are on West Bank, meaning you might be seeing operations in the West Bank. I hope it doesn't get to that. So it is geographically positioned both in the northern and eastern hemispheres of the earth. The Gaza Strip is bordered by the Mediterranean Sea to the west, by Egypt on the southwest, and by Israel on the east and the north. The West Bank, on the other hand, is bordered by Israel in the north, south, and west, and by Jordan and the Dead Sea in the east, as you see on the map. Very, very, very strategic location into all this. And it's very important to understand this part of history. Now, this part of geography, I'm sorry. Now, let's get into history a little bit here, because I need to share a few things with you that you need to understand. It's a long one, but I am not going to go through it. I'm going to provide you a link. And this is not a Wikipedia stuff. So it's academia. That's what I dig for information for you. So Palestine, small region of land that is. But the importance of it is that it played a sort of a prominent role in the ancient and modern history of West Asia. So the history of Palestine has been marked by frequent political conflict and violent land seizures, still happening, because of its importance to several major world religions. And also because Palestine sits at a valuable geographic crossroads between Africa and Asia. So today, the Arab people who call this territory home are known as Palestinians. Notice, I didn't say today Muslim people. I said Arab people. And you guys been around long enough to know the distinction between the two. So now, let's just go back a little bit here because I find it very important for you to understand this. So what is Palestine? When we talk about Palestine, what is it? A lot of people do not even know where Palestine is located. So what is Palestine? Well, the word Palestine derived from the ancient Greek Philistia, but ancient Egyptians, Assyrians, and Hebrew language, all of these languages also included similar sounding words to describe the region or its people, because all three, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, are all strongly tied to the region and trace the origin to the land over the past few thousand years. That's how far back. So all I'm going to do now, guys, is just go to 1918. What happened in 1918? A major event. And I think I did mention this before. So I wanted to just check with you guys here. What a major event in 1918. So I know it takes a while for by you guys type in the chat box. So actually, two major events converge into one. Abdul Fahl, World War I, that's correct. What is the other one within the same context? Hello, Emperor Penguin. Good to see you. You're Dr. O. Good to see you. What happened, guys? Balfour Declaration. There's another thing. Psych Peacocks. All this is correct. There is one specific one. One specific one. It had to do with an empire. Around the same. Oh, the Ottoman. I'm sorry. Let me share it here on the screen. You got it. About which you got it. The Ottoman was balkanized. In other words, the fall of the Ottoman Empire during World War I, and this is where Palestine typically referred to the region between the Mediterranean Sea, like you see right here in the map, because it's important. I feel without understanding this, things is going to be a little bit lost. So between Mediterranean Sea and the Jordan River, and much of this land is now part of the present day Israel. This is the reality of it. So today, the region known as the Palestinian territories includes the West Bank, the one you're looking at on the map there, a territory that sits between modern day Israel and Jordan. And you have the other one. The other part is the Gaza Strip, bordering Israel and Egypt. So these areas have been under Israeli military occupation since 1967. However, control over these regions is a complex and evolving situation. There is no international consensus concerning the border. 28 United Nations member countries currently do not recognize Israel at all. And many are claimed by the Palestinian territories, are also claimed by Israel. So what you have basically, you have if my memory serves me well, you have about over 130 or 135 countries within the UN, or member of the UN, United Nations, that is, recognize Palestine as an independent state. But Israel and some other countries, including the United States, do not make this distinction. So, and it's nothing. It's we all know this is part of where it is today. So, the other thing you need to understand is the root of Palestine's early history, because this one is important. And I'm going to just share this and jump into the analysis. Scholars believe that the name Palestine is derived, as I mentioned, from the name of the Philistines. And who are the Philistines? The Philistines were people who occupied part of the region back in the 12th century BC. That's how far back it goes. So over the centuries, so from 12th century BC forward, So over centuries, you have the Jews, Muslims, and the Christians, and followers of other religions have all claimed special connection to the region. So the Hebrew Bible contains narratives of ancient Israelites' presence in the land, including the kingdoms of Israel and Judea, which was, of course, established by none other than King David and his descendants around 1000 BC. Those kingdoms' rivals includes other Canaanites groups like the Philistines or Philistines, whose territory encompassed the ancient city of Gaza. This is why you need to understand this history. When you look at the map again, this stuff goes back to the 12th century. So the region was later conquered by numerous empires, including the Babylonians, Persians, and Romans. It first came under Muslim control when Jerusalem fell to the Rashidun Caliphate back in 637, less than 5 years after the Prophet Muhammad died, because he died in 632. And this is where, during the Crusades, Christian armies from West Europe fought both Muslims and local Christian factions for control of their religion's holy sites. And between 1517 and 1917, the Ottoman Empire, whose official religion was Islam, ruled the region. This is why it's important. Of course, that goes into World War I, and you all know the history of that. The other thing you need to know is 1947. In 1947, after more than 2 decades of British rule, the United Nations proposed a plan to partition Palestine into 2 sections, an independent Jewish state and an independent Arab state. So the city of Jerusalem, which was claimed as the capital by both the Jewish and the Palestinian Arabs, was to be an international territory with a special status. And of course, 1948, that's when Israel became state. The United States was the first to recognize that. And you know the rest of history, except for one date that you need to know, which was 1964. 1964 marks the birth of the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization. So that's what was formed for the purpose of the establishing Palestinian states and so forth. So then comes, of course, within the same year, 1967, the 6-Day War, which you're all familiar with it. And I'm gonna, as I said, I'm gonna put a link for you so you guys can read up the entire history. 1978, you all know what happened in Camp David. That's when the Egyptians and the Israelis signed peace treaty. Then 1987 was the first Intifada, or the rise up. That's what took place. It was anger over ongoing Israeli occupation of Gaza and West Bank. So, and the rest, you know, it's a long one here. So, all right, let me get into my analysis here, and I have links for you, as I mentioned, for you guys. So here is what I need you to understand about this development. As I mentioned, I'm going to provide you an update for you to put things in perspective. So you look at 3 phases of this agreement that's been agreed upon. So the first 6 weeks of the first ceasefire, some sort of by which the agreement was between Israel and Hamas, the exchange of the Palestinian prisoners for the Israeli captives. So, and this, what's going to be after that, is gradual Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, going to the Gaza borders. So then after that, an increase in humanitarian aid. So now, here is the problem that I see personally, and some analysts, because I've read a few things, and I'm going to share the link. The way that I see these 3 phases, and remember this saying that between each phase there will be some negotiations. Well, what are the guarantees that during these negotiations everybody will be honoring the clauses of the agreement. So, because remember, Israel has already killed some in Jenin already. So, which to me sends a signal that the next location is going to be the Jenin or West Bank. Most likely will be West Bank, in my opinion. So, but you go back to 2023. What happened in 2023? That was the first truce that was agreed between Hamas and Israel, agreed for 4 days. So, and this was, of course, in response to what took place. But now you got, in addition to 14,000 people, Palestinians that died, the majority of them were women and children. It's a fact. It's documented there. I'm not saying something that is not there. So you're looking also at a 1.7 million Palestinians that have been displaced. And like I mentioned to you yesterday, remember that picture I showed you for the demonstrations around the world, which we haven't heard much about? That was part of the international pressure that exists regarding the war in Gaza. So even South Africa, which you all know what it did, it filed the case against Israel for war crimes. So that just and this is how things are moving into a different direction. I had a chance to read once again an article by Peter Beaumont, and it was very interesting because it's spot on. Some key points there, and I'm going to be sharing with you my analysis about this kind, sort of this analysis here. So the 3 phases of this agreement, as I said, requires new negotiations to advance, which to me it's troubling to begin with. In other words, why would you need 3 phases if there is an honest intentions to end the war completely? So why? It's because this will allow for the gap of mistrust between the two sides. So because you're talking about something that unknowable, uncertainty. So when you have about the implementation of only the first phase, that might not be a good omen for a major deal that could end the war completely and once for all. So 3 challenging phases. So I just see the problem with that, because there will always be some elements, some events, like, for example, what just happened yesterday with our new president. So let me jump to that and tell you what Mr. Trump did. What Donald Trump's decision is to lift the sanctions on settlers involved in violence in West Bank. This is what I'm saying, guys. I think the next hotbed is going to be West Bank. That's where I see things coming. Otherwise, why will Trump lift the sanctions on the settlers? So, and the Palestinians, of course, authority denounced this particular aspect because that's a slap in the face. So, and you have even the Israeli finance minister, Smotrich, thanking Donald Trump for what he called his just decision. So Trump doesn't care. Trump cares for Trump. And this is why a lot of Americans do not understand. I have nothing against Trump. I'll tell him to his face if I ever have that opportunity to meet the guy, but I am not interested. I don't need to meet the guy because there is nothing of importance for me. So there's nothing in it for me. I don't need to. So, but it became clear to me as to how president thinks, because president is not well versed in geopolitics and understanding international relations. And also when you look at who had already nominated and now confirmed and sworn in as a Secretary of State, one who is pushing for the welfare of Israel, it gives you an idea right there. So and this is where the Israeli finance minister, who, by the way, threatened to withdraw from the Israeli government. And if he does, along with Ben Gvir, who is the security minister, the government of Netanyahu will collapse. But here is the thing. Netanyahu got a deal with these two behind closed doors. He told them, just let's go with this for now, and I will resume the war later on. So this is where we're problematic. So, and this is why Smotrich, the finance minister, when he said, and I quote, the US president has confirmed his firm and uncompromising position alongside the state of Israel, end of quote, considering the sanctions a dangerous foreign interference in Israel internal affairs, end of quote. Very troubling. Very, 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 very troubling. So when you think about, majority of analysts now are saying that this particular ceasefire is so fragile. It's unlikely that it will hold. Unlike I asked you the question, majority of you said no, and I tend to concur with that. Remember, it's in 3 phases. We might not see anything happening now, and everybody will think everything is moving along the right direction. You still have 2 more phases to this, and a lot can happen between the 2. So, because there is one particular element, which is lack of trust from both sides. They don't trust each other, and how could they? Yeah. So, because here is what Hamas has been saying. Hamas saying in its public statement, and it's a public record, by the way, and I have the link. I'm going to share it with you. Even the Israeli media has been reported on this. So, what Hamas has been saying about the Israeli senior officials is that most recently by none other than the foreign minister, Gideon Sa'ar, he is concerned that Israel will seek to secure the return of most vulnerable hostages, women, children, and the ill and the elderly, and then start again fighting, perhaps at the time of the second phase. So, makes you ask the question, and I'm going to ask you, is there a possibility for such scenario? In other words, would you anticipate fighting to resume once we get to the phase 2? If you feel like answering on the chat box, just yes or no, based on your understanding of this. So, and here is where the kicker, and I wish I had a picture of, no, I don't. Smotrich. Here is what happened with the finance minister, once again, Smotrich, who claimed, and I quote, Benjamin Netanyahu has assured me the war would continue. End of quote. So there is no intentions of a complete ceasefire. And the thing is that now the American president is adding fuel to the fire by supporting this. Which, why should we be surprised? Despite what you hear. Yes, it was the president that pressured Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu to agree to the ceasefire, but it was just probably for public consumption, no more, no less. So, and this is what majority of people do not get. And Arabs and Muslim leaders are just thinking that a deal have reached, which Arab and Muslim leaders are useless. Let's just say it straight. Take the Houthis out of this picture. Take Hezbollah, take Iran out. Take the Prime Minister of Malaysia, who's been vocal. Take the even Prime Minister of Pakistan. They all voiced their. When I say, I'm not referring to all. You don't generalize, of course, because it's not right. So, and this is where the issue is. Arabs are useless, in my opinion, because even the PLO, when you look at now this map here, the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, doesn't want this region to be independent from its authority. Why? is because the PLO is under the thumb of the Israelis and the Americans. They got a deal behind closed doors. That's usually how it works. But like I said, on many occasions, Hamas is part of the Palestinian fabric, society, social fabric, that is. So you can't differentiate Hamas from the rest of Palestine. And people are trusting this group more so than they are trusting the PLO. That's just the reality of it. So basically, what you are looking at when Israeli was said, well, we reached a ceasefire, we accomplished our objectives. No objective has been achieved. You couldn't, and you did not, meaning Israeli government, didn't defeat Hamas. As a matter of fact, the ceasefire, it's the way I see it as an analyst, I'll see it as a victory for Hamas, not Israel, because Israel was not able to achieve all its objective that stated it will. So, and the idea that when the prime minister, Netanyahu, that is promised, and I put this in quote, total victory over Hamas, this has come now to pass because they couldn't defeat. So despite 15 months of a relentless campaign of destructions and so forth, they weren't able to defeat the group that is them. So it's my big concern is what I see coming forward. And again, I am leaning more and more towards the idea that the next location is going to be West Bank, and that it's troubling. It's troubling because when you look at the map, of course, Jordan can't do squat. Jordan is at the thumb of the West anyway. The king of Jordan is useless to his people, but useful to the Israelis and the Americans. And plus the guy is British, so it doesn't matter. But you got the idea, because the king of Jordan most concerned about the survival of his own monarchy and to ensure that his son will take over. So I just don't get this, that they're passing this to the next son and so forth. It's ridiculous. This whole notion of the kingdom, I don't know. That's just my opinion. So and it becomes the question of what's next, and now we are seeing the hints coming out of the White House as to what Donald Trump is planning on doing moving forward. So which means, if I am to guess, that will be given a green light to the Israelis to go ahead with whatever they want to do. Egyptians, when you look at the map here, Egyptian can't do squat. Egypt is another Jordan, basically. Just it's bigger, has more army, whatever, but it's useless. Because we told Egypt what to do. We decide. So when you look at even Iraq now, I am concerned about it. I am concerned because the prime minister is pushing for disarming all the militias in the country. How did he get that idea from? We pressured behind closed doors. I spent a lot of time in Baghdad, so I'm very familiar how our communication with the government, including at that time the corrupted former Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, which we, the one who put him in power, only found out with his assets in England. Majority of those have their assets in England. This is why you have the Prime Minister of Iraq traveling. He traveled already to England and met with the Prime Minister and signed $15 billion agreement. That's our way of buying him out. So even Iraq concerns me now, because if you disarm the militias, because this is one thing we just finally understood, how countries in West Asia, majority are tribal societies, which means tribes maintain their own independence. Yes, there is a ruler, whatever, but they still, back in the day, Saddam Hussein would not move an inch without consulting with the sheikhs of the tribe. Same thing in Libya, Same thing in Jordan, same thing in Syria, you name it. Saudi Arabia and all that. Even though Saudi Arabia was the monarchy more so, but they still have to consult with the tribes and the religious establishment, because that's how they draw the legitimacy. So now what will happen if you withdraw or you disarm these militias? You leave them vulnerable. This is exactly what happened in Australia when the government went ahead and took weapons away from people, except for hunting some rifle, whatever. Yeah. Idiot Biden wanted to do that here when they wanted to launch so-called buyback. I ain't going to sell you my weapons. Hell no. And no American should ever consider that, no matter what the price is. And I'm not talking about, the Second Amendment and all that. That's beside the point. You do not want to do this. Look at our neighbor to the north. Look what's going on in Canada. So this is where the issue that I see coming forward is the idea that West Bank, it's going to be the target. Now, when? I don't know. Because remember, there are 3 phases to this agreement. We shall see how things progresses within 2 weeks, and I will do an update about this topic in about a month or so, and see how things are moving forward. So very, very interesting dynamics, just how it's moving forward. Oh, Pamadou, I want to say thank you for your super sticker. Truly, truly appreciate you for that. So, and let me just see, guys, here. Yeah, don't assume, just to close this in, because that's all I have to share with you. And usually when I share what I need to share, I sign off, because I don't like to just stay here and rumble for no reason. So I don't do that. Just to sum up all this for you, I want you to get one idea. One particular aspect is that this agreement, while it's holding as of now, it's very fragile. And remember, there's also 3 phases to it. We are only in the process of implementing the first one, and we didn't even complete the first one yet. There's already reported death by the Palestinians, which caused by the Israelis, that is, in areas like Jenin and the area around West Bank. So we shall see how things are going to move. I am not surprised at what President Trump did by lifting the sanctions on the settlers. That's usually a sign for what lies ahead regarding the Israeli-American relations. And now with the Secretary of State, who is an avid supporter and gets his support from the Israeli lobby, and because he lives in Florida, and if you think about Florida has a lot of Jewish communities there, retired, and they control the process, the political process that is in Washington. So, and this is not a new information. You guys are aware of this already. So, in any event, guys, so as I said, be on the lookout for my upcoming interview with Professor Anna Malendog. I'm going to be reaching out to her this afternoon just to make sure, and we'll just go from there. So once again, this is the link to, if you want to support the Asia trip. I'm going to start from now till about June. Then we'll figure out where we are with the funding campaign. And I'm going to organize all these guys and keep you informed about all this one here. I already saw some comments, and I don't shy away from disclosing this, but please, if you don't have anything positive to say, I will greatly appreciate if you don't. So I'm very polite, but I will let you have it if you cross the line. That's just my nature. So I will greatly appreciate if you do not have anything positive to say, because this is not about me. It's about our community, and I will do whatever it takes to protect this community, because it took a while for us to put it together. So I will greatly appreciate it. And you know who I'm talking to. So don't support the trip, but don't say negative stuff. If you have no intentions, I will prefer that you unsubscribe altogether. I'd rather have a positive energy in our community. Simple as that. So, and speaking of one of you guys, I wish I kept the name, informed me that he has been unsubscribed. Doesn't know why he's been subscribing to the channel for almost a year and a half. All of a sudden, he was unsubscribed. So I don't know. I can't answer as to why and who's doing that, whatever. Just please make sure to ensure that you are subscribed to the channel. If this is your first time here, I would greatly appreciate if you can subscribe to the channel. And I thank you for your support. So, as always, remember, geopolitics impacts your daily life in more ways than one. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.